Welcome back to another episode of the Knowledge Bomb. I'm Nick Fowler. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about whether to compete or not to compete. There are many reasons why competition is not beneficial. There are some legitimate reasons why competing would benefit you, and I want to touch on 3 of those today. The first being inexperience. If you're an inexperienced athlete, new to competition, it's definitely beneficial to get out on the floor, work through those jitters, get experience on what that feels like, how your recovery is, how you operate around other folks. Little things like that go a long ways. The second one is to create a retesting period within your skeleton. So keep in mind, this should be scheduled in advance so you know what your training cycles are going to look like leading up. Just like a retesting period, if you retest too often, it will get in the way of your training, okay? The example I laid out last week where we had a 5-month training period that led up to some testing. If we just replace this test with a competition, okay, you can see how 5 months allows us for a big chunk, solid amount of training and adaptations to take place. If we're taking and you're competing every 6 weeks, you're cutting this training cycle short, if that makes sense. And that test in here, putting that competition on a weekend in the middle of your training period is going to screw you up, not just for those 2 days, but you can think about it for a week, right? So really, if you're going into a competition, even if you're going to train through it, there are some considerations leading up. You got to rest a day before the competition. Maybe you're going to, test some of those workouts. So you can think about the week before is going to be skewed. It's going to be taking you away from training these priorities that you've already laid out. On the tail end of competition, right, you should probably rest the day after, right? You should probably have a little bit of a deload. What you did on the weekend, if you did a bunch of deadlifts and snatches, is going to affect what you do on Monday, Tuesday. If you have typically a lower body day on Monday or even Tuesday, you might have to alter that training to make sure that you keep joints, connective tissues, movement patterns safe, right? It makes sense. You don't want to deadlift heavy one day and then go into a deadlift session just the next day. So you can think about competition really affecting not just the 2 days, but a bigger portion of your training time. That's why it's important to schedule it out and know when you're going to compete. The third reason is to dial in systems. And this is probably my biggest reason in why people should compete. Think about it. There's a lot of things that go on in a competition that you have to figure out. Nutrition, warm-up, just a relationship with your coach, right? Is your coach in the back warming you up? What's that relationship look like? Gaining trust is a big one there. How do you feel and how do you eat leading into workouts, right? Do you have an appetite getting out of a workout? Let's say you have a 2-hour window between workouts, like what are you gonna eat? Knowing these things, dialing in these systems are really important. Remember to keep your ultimate goal in mind. Anything that doesn't contribute to that is taking away from it. So really think about, is the competition that you're gonna participate in really adding to your potential and really allowing you to reach your goal, or is it getting in the way? First, I want to thank you for taking the time and watching these videos. If this is the first time getting to watch one of these knowledge bombs, go ahead and check out previous episodes. There is a ton of information that's cataloged. For those of you guys who visit often, first of all, thank you. Make sure that you comment below if you have questions, if you have comments, if you disagree, if you agree. The conversations that we can have are going to be very valuable. Please take the time to subscribe, and if you haven't already, hit that little bell up in the corner there to make sure that you get notifications when new knowledge bombs come out.